Hello and welcome to you all, and today we are going to learn about coordinator design pattern. This design pattern belongs to the structural design family, and this is basically used to define logic of flow between different controllers. Its main purpose is to manage the flow between different screens of your application or between different component of your software. Suppose you are having a mobile application where you are having different screens and each screen is dedicated to a very specific functionality. So in coordinator design pattern, you would be having a dedicated coordinator for each screen that will basically define that what exactly will be the flow from that particular screen to other screen, and in this way you get the feature to decouple your view controller from the navigation logic, and this is one of the most prominent benefit of this particular design pattern. So if in your application you are having very deep navigation hierarchies, that means from screen A you are jumping to screen B, from screen B you are jumping to screen C, and so on. So in this particular situation, coordinator design pattern is the best design pattern to manage the complexity of the navigation logic, and in that way you get the facility to make your view controllers more decoupled from the navigation logic.
Let's take an example of the fitness tracking application that is basically having 5 screens or 5 different flows. So from the onboarding, user can go for the registration and the login. From the home, user can go to the workout or to the nutrition screen or to the setting screen. From the workouts, user can move to the workout details, session screens or workout history screen. From the nutrition module, user can go to the meal plans, water and food intake tracking, and fitness device and screen navigation. And from the settings, user can jump to the profile screen or user can go for the sign out flow. So here you can see from each screen different navigations are taking place. So in the coordinator design pattern, what we will do, we will provide a dedicated coordinator for each screen. For example, for onboarding you will be having the onboarding coordinator, for home you will be having the home coordinator, for workout you will be having the workouts coordinator, and for nutrition you will be having the nutrition coordinator, and same is for the setting coordinator. So what will happen exactly, this all navigation logic that you are seeing in the form of text will get moved out of the respective view controller. So previously, if you are using any other design pattern or any other architecture like MVVM, so most rarely you will be writing those navigation logic inside the view controller only. But if your application is having deep navigation hierarchies, then your view controller will become very tightly coupled to all this navigation logic, and somewhere it disturbs the single responsibility principle. And here, with the help of coordinator design pattern, we will take that navigation logic out from the view controller, and then we will be managing it with the help of different coordinators. And there will be one more component that is known as router that will basically help the coordinator to provide the actual navigation in your application. Before jumping into the coding sample, let's take a quick look to the components of coordinator design pattern. So there are majorly 5. Number 1 is coordinator protocol. Number 2 is router protocol. Number 3 is concrete coordinator. Number 4 is concrete router. And number 5 is view controllers. So coordinator protocol basically defines the common functionality or the blueprint for all the coordinators in your application. And similarly is the router protocol. Router protocol basically defines the blueprint for all the router in your application. Concrete coordinator is the class that basically confirms the coordinator protocol and controls all the navigation flow of your application. And concrete router is the place that will basically adopt this router protocol and provides you the present and the dismiss method for your view controllers. And view controllers are basically the screens in your application that are dedicated to different functionalities, and coordinator will be the place that will basically generate the view controller objects. First thing that you need to implement in your code sample is the coordinator protocol, and this protocol basically defines the common behavior for all the coordinators in your application. Now let's see how coordinator is implemented. So the very first thing in the coordinator, we are having the children property, and that is an array of type coordinator, and this is basically used to hold all the children coordinators in the coordinator design pattern. So suppose in your application you are having a flow. Maybe it could be a sign up that is getting completed by 4 to 5 steps, and for each step you are having a dedicated UI screen. So in that condition, what you can do, for every intermediate step you can create a child coordinator, and for the sign up you can have a parent coordinator. So all the intermediate step will have 4 to 5 coordinators that will get hold into this particular array. Another variable is the router, that is basically used to hold the reference of the router object, and the router is the place where actual navigation will take place. And present and the dismiss are the functions that are used to present the view controller and the dismiss the view controller. On dismiss is the block that you want to fire when the dismissal of any view controller take place. And present child is the function that is dedicated to present the child coordinator. So this was the implementation of the coordinator protocol. To provide the default implementation of the dismiss and the present child function, we are using here one extension of the coordinator. So in the dismiss function, we are calling the dismiss on the router. What exactly is implemented in the router, we will see it further. In the present child, basically we are appending the children coordinator into the array that we have already discussed. Then we are calling present method on that particular coordinator. Animated variable is responsible to manage whether you want to present that view controller with an animation or without animation. And on dismiss is the block that basically you want to fire whenever any dismissal of the view controller will take place. So whenever the dismissal will happen for any view controller, you will remove that child coordinator from that particular array, and then you will fire that on dismiss block. The remove child is basically the function that is responsible to remove the child coordinator from the coordinators array, and this is the implementation of that remove child function. So this was the complete implementation of the coordinator protocol with the help of an extension. Second part that you need to implement in the coordinator design pattern is the router protocol. So this router protocol is having three methods basically. One is the present view controller with animated argument. Another one is the present view controller with animated and on dismissed argument, and last one is the dismiss function. So the responsibility of these two functions is exactly same. The only difference is there is one additional parameter at the line number 19. This is the block that basically you want to execute whenever the dismissal of the view controller will take place, and the dismiss is the function that is responsible to dismiss the particular view controller. And to provide the default implementation to the present function, we are using extension of router here, and that is basically the present with animated parameter, and internally it is calling the same method by passing the nil in the on dismiss parameter. So this is the implementation of the router, and basically router is the exact place when you will implement in the form of the concrete class. You will be able to see that routers are the place exactly where the actual navigation takes place. Two concrete routers that you need to implement in the coordinator design pattern is navigation router and the app delegate router. So responsibility of the navigation router is to provide the actual navigation in your application, and the app delegate router will be responsible to provide the entry point for the navigation of your application. So let's see how navigation router is implemented. In the navigation router, we are having the first property as the navigation controller, that is of type UI navigation controller. So this router is basically responsible to provide the present and the dismiss functionality for your view controller. So that's why we need a UI navigation controller here. Router root view controller or the router root controller is the property that will basically hold the root view controller for the router. And on dismiss for view controller is the dictionary that maintains basically a block that will get executed against the particular view controller dismissal. So in this particular dictionary, you maintain that for which view controller which particular block I need to execute when the dismissal of that view controller will take place. So this is basically the initializer or the constructor for that particular navigation router. Now we are adopting the router protocol on our navigation router class. So let's see how present and the dismiss methods are implemented. In the present method, what we are doing is, first of all, we are registering our on dismissal block against the view controller in the dictionary, because whenever that view controller will get dismissed from the navigation hierarchy, you will execute a block, and that block will be coming from this particular registration. And after that, we are pushing the view controller into the navigation controller. In the dismiss function, we are checking if the root view controller on that router is present, then you will perform pop to view controller till that root view controller. And otherwise, if the router root controller is not present, then simply you will perform pop view controller on your navigation controller. And perform on dismiss is basically the function that will execute that block that you need to fire whenever the dismissal of view controller will take place. And once you fire that particular block, then in your dictionary you need to register nil against that particular view controller, because that block has been fired and this particular view controller has been taken out from the navigation hierarchy. One delegate that we need to adopt in the navigation router is from UI navigation controller delegate, and this is basically responsible to get the notification whenever the back button will get pressed on a particular view controller. So this is the implementation of this particular delegate. Implementation of the app delegate router is one of the simplest one. We are adopting the router protocol and we are implementing this present method. There is one property, that is main window of your application. So that because it's an entry point for your application, so that's why you need to set one root view controller in this particular window, and that will be used as the key window for your application. In the present function, what we are doing is we are creating a navigation controller with the root view controller of your application, and then we are setting the root view controller for our key window as the navigation controller, and we are making this particular window visible. So this is the implementation of app delegate router here. Before jumping into the final part, I would like to tell you one quick thing. So this particular implementation is only for the beginners, and if you want to see some intermediate level of the implementation of coordinator design pattern, then I have already created one video on MVVM C++ architecture. There you can find a detailed implementation of coordinator design pattern in a small application. Last thing that you need to implement in our code sample is the concrete coordinators. Right now in our sample we are having only two screens. In the home screen we are having a button. On tapping of that we are triggering the navigation to the next view controller. So in the home view coordinator we are following this coordinator protocol, and that's why we are having these two properties in our home view coordinator. This is basically the constructor of this particular home view coordinator where we are setting the router to that particular coordinator. And in the present method what we are doing is we are creating the object of home view controller. One thing here is to take care is whatever navigation related functionality will get executed on your home screen, they will basically be implemented only inside the home view coordinator. And right now this thing we are implementing with the help of delegation pattern. That's why for any such action we are setting the delegate as self in the form of home view coordinator for this home view controller, and then we are calling the present method on our router. The present child implementation will be coming from the default implementation that we have done in the form of extension, and in the next extension of the home view coordinator we are implementing the home view controller delegates. And right now in our sample we are having just one button. On the clicking of that we are triggering the navigation to the next view controller. So that delegate is implemented here. We will see how we are managing it with the help of protocol in our home view controller screen. So in the function navigate to next screen we are getting the navigation controller from the home view controller. We are creating the router with the help of this particular navigation controller, and then we are creating the next view coordinator and we are passing this router here, and then we are calling this present child method to present the next view controller screen. Here you can see that whatever navigation logic is required to move from one screen to another is now shifted inside the coordinator. If you would have implemented the MVVM architecture, then this particular navigation code would be present inside your home view controller, but right now this gets shifted into the home view coordinator, and this is the beauty of this particular coordinator design pattern. And now let's jump into the home view controller. So inside our home view controller there is nothing, there is no UI. We are having only one button, and to handle the IB action of that particular button we are having a function IB action next button press, and whenever the next button is pressed there is no navigation code written inside the home view controller. We are just telling to delegate to perform the navigation to the next screen, and this is getting happen with the help of this home view controller delegate protocol that is implemented inside your home view coordinator basically. And similar will be the implementation of your next view controller and next view coordinator. So if you run your application, you are able to see that there is only one button on home view controller, and on pressing of that we are jumping into the next view controller. So this was the implementation of the coordinator design pattern.
I hope you like this quick tutorial on the coordinator design pattern. If you have any feedback, any suggestion, any comment, feel free to drop us in the comment box. For any other discussion, you can always drop me an email on my email ID, that is venugopaltewari@gmail.com. Till our next video, stay tuned to our channel, stay motivated and keep learning with us. Thank you.